Joy.
Okay.
Small chair?
Maybe.
But were you going to use the yes?
Somebody else like this.
Can we get it up?
Can I have some light? So, as usually, these sessions are dedicated to glorify Srila Prabhupada, remember him from a more personal side. Srila Prabhupada, his personality has so many facets, so many features that it is every time one starts to talk about him, it is like standing on the shore of the ocean, watching the waves coming in, one after another. So it is very inspiring always to hear from those who are still alive, and there are less and less of them, we are all dying out, who can give a living testimony of Srila Prabhupada's personality when he was with us on this planet. And one common thing you find in all the testimonies of all the pioneers of this movement, who started this movement from nothing. There was just one, let's face it, there was just one old Indian sitting in New York. And there were many. There were other gurus too. Prabhupada was not alone arriving from India. In New York, there were all kinds of flats and all kinds of apartments where there were all kinds of yogis sitting, enjoying the favor of the American followers, because it was very popular in the 60s. There was even a cartoon, I remember, in a newspaper, two ladies discussing in a cocktail party, holding champagne glasses, asking each other, what can you, Guru, do? You know. It was like, having a guru was like having a dog. Prabhupada addressed that. He said, exactly that's what we are not going to do. So those who first time met Prabhupada, they might have even met other gurus before, who were sitting in New York and smiling. They were symptomized by the same giggle. You know, it's all one and the same. Spiritual pleasure. You know, they made postcards out of them. I have one postcard actually like that. Giggle, and of course, every mantra had its price. You know. So, my Guru Mukunda, nowadays Mukunda Goswami, he describes how he met such a guru. He was sitting behind a curtain in a flat. The curtain went open, And everybody who came saw the man sitting there, chanting something nobody could understand. And then the curtain went closed again. And, being an inquisitive young man, Mukunda, previously Michael Grant, asked, that was a guru, yeah. Can I speak to him? No. What did he chant it? We don't know. Can I see him? No, he is in Samadhi. But you can give donation. So there was many like this arriving from India. Prabhupada was entirely different. When he met Prabhupada, it was the first thing. He thought, oh, who is this? He couldn't understand what Prabhupada is speaking either. But then he asked the few hippies who were sitting next to Prabhupada, can I talk to him? And they said, of course, we are talking to him all the time. As a matter of fact, we are living with him together. He couldn't believe that Prabhupada had practically zero privacy. So these first devotees who joined this movement, which they didn't know it's a movement, they thought this is just a Swamiji here sitting here and speaking something. They didn't know it's a movement. So they were just fascinated by the fact they could talk to him, basically about anything. Sometimes Prabhupada could really not understand, I think, what they were talking about, because they were just crazy hippies. They couldn't explain to him the effects of LSD and all kinds of things. They couldn't do that. Because Prabhupada, as he said later on, my disciples are so pure, they don't even smoke LSD. Devotees were going, okay, Jai, Haribol. They knew Prabhupada had no idea what that substance is. So, so Prabhupada was in a completely foreign environment, dealing with people coming from an entirely different background, and on top of that, of a completely different age. Most of them could be his grandsons almost. So what could be more strange? And still, they were so attracted by him. As a matter of fact, all of them described one common symptom you experienced when you came close to Prabhupada. You felt immediately compelled to do something or give him something. You felt incredibly guilty that you couldn't. And nobody knew. And Prabhupada didn't ask for anything. They felt immediately guilty. So one of them, he brought some mango, which was kind of exotic in New York, mango. So he brought a mango for the Swamis. And another one, he said, Prabhupada, I have a tambura at home. Prabhupada says, very nice, then bring it. And bring it means give it. Actually, he didn't say give it, he said bring it. But immediately it was translated, give it. And nobody knew what's happening. Everybody had to come back again and listen again, something they couldn't really understand. But it was just like if another voice would speak in you inside. And this is what happens. Because that's actually the soul. The soul is rejoicing. Finally, I found a spiritual source I can actually be nourished from. Because in present stage we are entirely covered. So Prabhupada didn't inform anybody, I'm here to start a movement. So this is like his movement, he has something to do, he has some mission, and we have to help him in his mission. And in this way they became part of his mission. And on a very early stage Prabhupada already informed them that this is not actually my mission, this is the mission of my spiritual master. And I'm here to do something for him. And that means spreading Krishna consciousness. And there was no books really in the beginning. Even Srila Prabhupada, he was lecturing actually from a translation of Bhagavad Gita he later on criticized. He didn't took the explanation, he just took the shlokas. Because he considered entirely all the, as he writes, over 600 editions of Bhagavad Gita totally unauthorized. Why? Because the author always gave his own personal opinion. Therefore, in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, which became published later on, there is no really opinion of the author. There is no his mean and his vision. No. It's simply drawn from the commentaries of the previous acharyas, from the previous teachers, put in such a way so possibly we, with our completely uninformed Western minds, can absorb that information and do something about it. Still, I remember the first time holding Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I couldn't understand one word. For me it was some kind of mystical sound, but it was very attractive. So I just kept on reading, and expressions like being purified. I don't know what, purified what? What does it mean? Should I wash my hands or what? Or being free from fruitive activities. So what is fruitive activity? I never heard this before. Is this some vegetable or fruit or what is this? Activity, I mean what? Is they selling grapes and bananas or what? You know, there was later on translators even who translated the book in other languages, they thought also like that. And they translated it like that. In the first edition you find fruit bringing activities. In common sense in English it means result, it means being not attached to the results of your work. That gradually, more and more by associating with devotees who already understood that, and by hearing from Prabhupada, I couldn't even understand English. Especially not Prabhupada's English. The Victorian colored English with a heavy dialect, you know, yeah. Prabhupada even invented his own words. He even said, we have to Krishna-ize everything. I said, Krishna-ize, what does it mean? Or Krishna consciousness. I always thought, yeah, he's describing some state of mind, but what shall I do about it? I want to do something. And of course, then I met his followers, and they showed me what to do. Because they were already caught up with the fact that Prabhupada has something practical to do for us. So, but it was not as it is very likely interpreted by materialists. I joined in Germany, even I'm not a German, but I joined in Germany. Germans, of course, are very technical people. So they all thought, here's a group of people, they lined up under somebody's command, that's visible. So that means they have no thinking and no willing on their own, you know. Like in the military, you know, the soldier is not supposed to speculate about the strategy of the war. The soldier is supposed to simply perform his task and shoot. You know, in one sense, it is like that. But the amazing thing is about Krishna consciousness and about Prabhupada's preaching is that it is most personal. Personal means that Prabhupada managed individually access the heart of his followers and generate an inspiration there, which actually is coming from the soul, not from Prabhupada. Prabhupada simply facilitated that process, because our philosophy is that everybody is a part of Krishna. Prabhupada compared it with the sparks in a fire. That's also fire. When you have a fire gnistering, there's sparks, that's also fire. And these little sparks, they have the quality of the fire. Now, if treated properly, they can ignite another fire. Because by nature they are the same. But still they are very small, the fire is big. So Prabhupada managed actually to keep that quality of that spark, bring it about, and start a new fire with that. This is a very, very subtle spiritual science, how to do that. One is to be entirely free from any envy and personal ambitions. In other words, Prabhupada didn't reach out to look, to convince people to follow something they couldn't understand and use them for certain purpose. That never works. That works for a while when people are fanatics and they are fascinated. But actually it never works. We saw it in the history of mankind. People get fascinated by charismatic leaders and they follow and they even die for the idea. But it never lasts. It disappears again. Because it's coming from outside. We can be fascinated. It's a little bit like music. In a music we can follow a certain beat. We can follow a certain, rhythm. And then we become also part of the rhythm, yes. But when the rhythm stops, then we stop dancing. Prabhupada created a dance which kept on going because it's coming from inside. And he treated his disciples like this as well. With respect, and with the full awareness that they are sent by his spiritual master to assist in his mission, and they are parts of Krishna, and herewith they have their own individual thing going on with Krishna, and I'm just helping them to understand. So he rekindled that spiritual spark, creating or bringing about actually very, very strong individuals. You know, he didn't want a brainless, blind followers, believers. I believe in Krishna. Prabhupada said, this is not about belief. You have to know, knowledge. And that knowledge comes from the heart, not from the brain. As you know, I was just reading my god brother Gurudas, you know, he didn't consider himself being a very intellectual, and he considered himself being quite a simple devotee. And Prabhupada asked him in Vrindavan to speak publicly, give a lecture, which was one of the most terrifying experiences for any disciple of Prabhupada, to give a lecture in Prabhupada's presence. That was scary. And you can hear sometimes from the recordings of Prabhupada's lectures, these lectures were not meant to be given by Prabhupada, but by his disciple. The lecture starts, you know, as the Supreme Lord says here in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that, Prabhupada already knew, okay, he is spinning around. So you hear this. And then Prabhupada interferes and takes over the lecture. I think the disciple was very happy about that actually. He took over, finally. You know, I know testimonies from God brothers who actually, you know, giving lectures in Prabhupada's presence. They said it's terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because to sit in the presence of such a personality, like example, one of my God brothers, he resorted to a strict policy. That lecture, he spoke like it's printed out. He just exactly repeated what he knew Prabhupada is saying, you know, not one word less, not one word more. Must have been quite monotone for the public, because public expects some personal expression. No, he just like a tape recorder, he just spoke. And then he stopped. It wasn't too long. And then he looked fearfully on Prabhupada. Prabhupada had a big smile on the face. Why? Because he didn't speculate. Another one, Gurudas Prabhupada, he just describes how he gave a lecture in front of Prabhupada. He was also scared, but he said, so what? I can honestly say what I know, when I don't know much, but I know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we should serve Him, and we should do it voluntarily with love and devotion. So he just described it from the heart. And he was saying, well, I'm an idiot, that's what I am. All my godbrothers know so many shlokas, and they were quoting from Prabhupada. They were always bringing out all the shlokas that they knew, you know, from the Shastra. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, just stated, and just to show I'm learning, I know the shlokas. So Gurudas didn't do that. There was not one quote from some shloka in his presentation. And he looked at Prabhupada. Prabhupada looked very happy. As a matter of fact, he was so happy. Then later on in his room, he said, this was a very nice lecture you gave. And Buddha said, Prabhupada, I don't even know how to quote something from the Shastra properly. But Prabhupada said, it was from the heart. Even my sister was noticing. Prabhupada's sister was also present in Vrindavan, Prishima. And Gurudas said, well, how can your sister know this? She doesn't speak English. You know, and he said, yeah, she doesn't speak English, but like me, she could very well understand this was well spoken from the heart. That was the essential point. Then Prabhupada relaxed and he said, now you will preach and I can retire. So you can see, I mean, to please Srila Prabhupada, it wasn't so difficult if it was done honestly. We can learn so much. The whole world is full of people who repeat all kinds of things. But what about them? What about us? And that's called, that the devotee is free of duplicity. Duplicity means we speak one thing, but actually we are motivated by something else. So we speak something nicely, but the desire in the heart is different. It's not exactly for the welfare of the listeners or for serving the master. It's something about us. I want, look, I'm learned. Look, listen to me. Yeah. And now you are listening, I'm speaking, means you know nothing, I know everything. Am I great? I'm so great. There are many speakers in this world like this. In seek of admiration, appreciation, seeking attention, yeah. There's even recordings of two babies conversing like this, standing in an age where they could hardly walk, standing opposing to each other, exactly replaying what they saw grown-up people to do, but in their childish way. They go, I mean, it looks comical, absolutely comical. People think this is very cute. Two babies, discussing here such an important issue, so you don't understand one word. But actually, from Krishna's point of view, we are more like that. We are here having a big discussion, something big to say, from Krishna's point of view. But it's impressive to Krishna and pure devotees when we speak from the heart. That means we don't have a secondary agenda. It's a very subtle thing because our material desires are very deep way down in the heart. We even ourselves don't know sometimes what kind of desires we acquired. And in a certain circumstance, under certain, suddenly the desire comes up. And it's growing stronger and stronger and stronger. Therefore, we, the first thing we do in Krishna consciousness, put ourselves in association of those who don't have that kind of material desires, and they are not willing to cultivate the material desires. When you come in an association of materialists, they will infect you with their material desires. Hey, how was the weekend? Great! What did you do? I enjoyed. How did you enjoy? I was drinking this, and I was watching this, and I got this woman, and it was great. The Monday morning talks in the job. They have this kind of conversations. They impress upon each other. In various versions, all over the world, it doesn't matter which nation you come from, it's the same thing. In India, they drive a moped, 15 kilometers an hour, and they have a t-shirt, Rambo. They go, and they think, I'm like from Bollywood, big bike, big man, big gun. It's just a little Bengali boy. And then here in the West, they have another version of this. They get themselves a car, some Muslim boy here from the neighborhood, and they put big amplification inside. And they drive Saturday night through the big streets of Bengaluru, and it just goes, you can hear the sound in a car. You couldn't hear anything. Inside he must be deaf, the man. But there's a big car, big amplification, big man. So and everybody has a way to expound his false ego. The worst thing is when it takes its form in the form of scripture. And Krishna is really not very pleased. If you want to puff yourself up, do it in your own way, concoct some way, but don't use Bhagavad Gita for that. Or don't use Krishna's words for that. So therefore the reactions are very severe for such a thing. So Srila Prabhupada was really, he was pleased by the sincerity of the disciple. Even there were so many mistakes, so much foolishness going on. It was the sincere endeavor to please Krishna and to please him, which was actually finally counting. There was even a disciple, Prabhupada used to call him the Dandavat class. He forgets everything. You tell him something, he forgets it. He cannot do anything. Completely confused. But he never forgets one thing. To immediately pay Dandavat obeisances when a spiritual master is coming. That's still something. Prabhupada said, even when he follows blindly, which is not very strong type of followership, but even when he follows blindly, he at least follows. In India you can see it, how benefited people are. They follow. They follow authority, yes. Most of the time they really don't know what they are following. They're following anything. Well, the cheaters, they have such a good time in India, they can just go, big yogi, big saying, big that, and people do follow. Here in the West, they pretend they don't follow, but they also do it. They also have their authorities, they do follow. What else you can do if you have no brain? So Prabhupada said that's also good followership, but what he actually really, tried to generate, it's that inspiration and that individual relationship we have with Krishna. Now Krishna himself makes a very clear condition. Nobody can have a direct relationship to him without the mercy of the spiritual master. That's not possible. If somebody says, I saw Krishna yesterday, our first question is, that is very nice. What did your guru say? I don't have any guru. Just me and Krishna. He's playing flute, I'm dancing. That's how simple it is. It's guarantee a cheater. Because Krishna doesn't participate in such a dance. He can